Welcome, welcome everyone to the Midwives Term 4 End of Year Celebration. For those of you I haven't yet gotten to meet, I'm Emily Ritker, the founder of the Midwives. Thank you all for coming, and thank you in advance to those who are sharing tonight. I find the Midwives hard to explain. We are a group of artists from all different disciplines. We make work as well as support others in making their work. We form new relationships with artists all across the country, and sometimes from just down the street. But there is something in that description that is lacking. There is something I find hard to put into words, but is at the core of what this thing is. The Midwives came from and evolved from questions. We started by asking, what are you craving artistically? Craving in your practice, in your community and relationships? And my husband has gotten very tired of the word craving over the past couple years. And then I started asking, how do we instill value? How do we show artists that they are valued, that their voice, their time, their perspective is vital? How do we raise the value of creativity and art making in our society? Some people believe value comes from being rare or being one of few who can do something unique. That might be true, but it's not the kind of value I'm seeking. I'm seeking the type of value that comes from recognition that something is vital, that there is something intrinsically human in its essence. My experience in the art world has been one of scarcity. A select group of people are chosen by another select group of people to represent all of us. We have opted for creativity to be rare, rather than creativity to be what connects all of us. I believe creativity is in every single one of us. It is what I believe it means to be human. I want to be part of a community where my worth as an artist isn't diminished or challenged by another artist. It is raised up. Tonight, you will be seeing short pieces made by some of the artists involved this year in the Midwives. We are celebrating the work they have done as well as the support their midwives have given. But we are also celebrating creativity and the value in sharing your unique voice. And I hope as you watch, it reminds you of where creativity manifests in your life. The show will be about 90 minutes and we'll take a little intermission halfway through. Gather is still a bit new for us, so we hope that you'll be patient as there may be some glitches along the way. And now I'll hand you over to our masters of ceremonies for tonight, Mike and Kelsey. Come on up.
Hello. I am so happy to be here. Thanks for that great introduction. That was really awesome. Kelsey, how you doing tonight?
Oh man,
How you
I'm
feeling?
good. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm really excited to see all the things that we're gonna see.
I know. Me too.
It's gonna be pretty cool. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay. We're gonna just go over a couple little housekeeping things. I think we're asking everyone to mute themselves. So I think if you can all go ahead and take a moment to mute your little self if you haven't yet. We do hope as people are, are sharing that you'll utilize the chat, which is over to your left, the little chat bubbles. Feel free to put, you know, accolades and scathing critiques and just kidding. Put nice stuff in there. And then yeah, what else? Oh, use the emojis if you haven't used those yet. At the bottom of your screen, there's a little smiley face. You can, celebrate when folks,
And those
yeah,
also
cute.
those correspond with the numbers on your keyboard. So if you're trying to throw up a heart, you can just push the number 2, and that'll make a heart
Oh,
show.
cool. Cool. Oh, cute. Oh, that is
Um,
nice.
and every
Let's
chair is its own private space. So you should be good if you're sitting in a chair.
If as you're watching, you didn't sign up to share anything, but you are really inspired to do so, you can do it. You can just chat Mike or me, and let us know that you want to share something, and we'll find a way to add you to the lineup.
Yeah, please do. If you even feel only a tiny bit like I want to share something, then do it. That would be awesome. We'd love to have you.
Please, please. Sweet. What else, Mikey?
I don't know. I'm
Is
looking
that
at the
it?
list. I think we hit it all. We'll be sharing, if there are any pieces that have content notes, we'll be sharing those in advance of the piece. And yeah, anything else you're thinking about, Kels?
Just for
Taylor's
folks.
asking. Oh, sorry. Taylor just had a
Oh,
question.
yeah.
Can the sharers see us while they share? Yes, they can, Taylor, but we can't see
Yeah.
each other, as you can see right now. So yeah, so you can either be camera on or camera off, your choice. But I know some of the sharers said that they love seeing people's faces, so you don't have to feel shy about having your camera on if you would like to.
Cool.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, put your clothes back on, everyone. And when we call you down, when it's, hey, Errol, come on down. For the performers, the sharers, you'll just step onto this square.
This little rug here.
This little rug that we're on, yeah.
The presenter's rug,
Cool.
yes. Cool. All right, we're doing it, everybody. Here we are. We made it.
Whoop,
Sweet.
whoop. Do, do, do. Dance, dance, dance. Okay. So our first sharer of the evening is Meredith. So Meredith's piece is untitled currently. It's a short section from a book-length work in progress dealing with hospitalization and mental health. So Meredith, come on
Welcome
down.
to the stage, Meredith.
Welcome.
Let's give a big hand for Meredith. Show some love. Oh, look at all those hearts.
Cute.
Hey everybody, I think I'm broadcasting now. Yes? Kelsey and Mike, you thumbs up? Okay, great. Awesome. Okay, so I'm happy to kick things off this evening. The Watcher in the Room. 1. I'm on 24-hour watch, waiting for a bed at the magical place that will fix me. And my first caregiver won't shut up. She tells me about her bum ex-boyfriend. Girl, shut up. She tells me about her bum current boyfriend. Girl, shut up. She grabs the remote from me so she can watch a Judge Judy marathon, which reminds her of her sister's, friend's, cousin's bum recycled boyfriend. Oh, you don't mind, do you, sis? She says. 4 episodes and just as many narrative yarns later. What she isn't saying makes my blood boil. Oh, we're both black women, you know how it is, so it's cool if I just do whatever at the expense of your necessary peace and quiet, right? Girl, shut up! A tall, homely white lady with close cropped hair brings her therapy dog, Bo, to my room. I almost burst into tears. Bo reminds me that touch doesn't have to be a language lost to me forever. But my watcher doesn't let this last long. She wants to pet Bo, because clearly my hospital visit is all about her. Bo sniffs my watcher's crotch. And homely white lady says, "That's weird. Maybe he smells chicken." My incensed watcher upturns my temporarily peaceful tableau of touch and loudly disposes of Bo and homely white lady. Tears pierce the surface this time. It always happens like this. But my watcher doesn't notice because clearly my hospital visit is all about her. She rants for an hour about how rude homely white lady was, how racist, how disgusting and untrained Beau was. She empties the contents of her purse onto my legs until she finds what she's looking for. Summer's Eve feminine hygiene wipes. She spends the next hour detailing her coochie cleaning regimen while waving the Summer's Eve wipes in my face for effect. There's no way my coochie smells like chicken. I keeps it fresh, and I haven't had any complaints. I nod and for her because I know that's what she needs. I get it. But at some point, I'd love to be the gotten and not just the getter. For the next few days, she keeps bringing up her hoo hoo hoodoo and pulls out her Summer's Eve wipes as if it's now something that bonds us together. Girl, shut up! 2. I wake expecting another day of vaginal care tales, but I have a new warden. The warden doesn't speak to me. The warden doesn't read. The warden doesn't watch TV. But the warden was a watching, watching, watching. The warden was a watching, preventing death by conversation. When the warden dozes, I get up to go to the bathroom, dragging my IV full of water behind me. I close the door to drop a deuce, relaxing at the thought of one moment's peace from this imposing woman. But alas, the door is nearly ripped off its hinges, and my peace gone down the drain. And the warden was a watching, watching, watching. The warden was a watching, preventing death by defecation. The warden pulls her chair away from the side of the bed and places it at the end of the bed, blocking the door, so that the only thing she can see, ever, every day, and every night, is me. And the warden kept a watching, watching, watching. The warden kept a watching, not preventing death at all, but slowly killing me in a staring contest. 3. I've had it up to here. Why does it take so long to get into a psych hospital that I didn't want to go to anyway? And if they send me one more fucking oppressive caregiver, I will throw my feces at the nurses until someone pays attention to me. It worked for the guy across the hall. 4. When Helen comes, I'm ready to be mean to her, but she doesn't let me. Helen treats me like a human. She lets me use the bathroom with the door only open a crack so that I have privacy and she's still following the rules. When I get up to walk around, she puts fresh sheets on my hospital bed. She reads while she sits with me so I can watch whatever stress free thing I like. She steps out when the doctors come in so I can have privacy talking about my care. Helen treats me like a human. Helen makes sure I don't forget to order and eat meals. When I'm bored, she tells me that she used to be in the military, that she's retired now, and that she does this job every once in a while for extra cash. Some people are really messed up, and you can tell they need help, she says, but not like you. I could be pretty messed up, I say, because that's how I feel. Nah, I've seen a lot of things, but you're a smart girl and you pay attention to things, to people. You're sad, but you aren't broken. And those deep, sad times happen to the best of us, but they don't have to last always. I bawl and I don't hide my face. Helen treats me like a human. When they come to take me away, Helen makes sure I have all my belongings. Sorry, y'all. petite, teeny weeny afroed woman goes full on black auntie, making sure I'm dressed warmly, triple checking that I have my phone and earphones, and reminding me that my venture across the street will be okay. Helen treats me like a human, and I'm not sure how long it will take for anyone to do that again. Thank you, all.
And Meredith, that was amazing. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. That was, yeah, that was incredible. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you so much. Hmm.
So that was Meredith with Untitled. Um, our next person sharing is going to be Kristen, who's sharing a piece called Voicing Birth, verbatim voices talking about their experience with birth. Kristen, you can come on up and join us on stage. Hey, there you are. Hey, Kristen.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey.
Hey,
Take
hey.
it away.
I also need Thomas.
Thomas. Hey, Thomas.
Hey.
Great. Yeah, this is like a working title too. It includes people who have given birth and a one interview of a midwife. Haha, I made this during Midwives. Okay, I don't see Thomas. Oh right. He's at places. I forget. So he's a professional actor. All right. Here we go. Are you pregnant? Maybe your period's only a day overdue. Or maybe it's going on 3 weeks late. Or maybe your period isn't even slated to arrive yet, but you've got a gut feeling, literally in your gut, that something's cooking, like a brand new baby bud in your oven.
Nikki Owens.
I think it was just like worry about losing my life. Honestly, it's a very selfish response, but I was like, what am I going to do? So I was on birth control. We had no intentions of getting pregnant anytime soon. Jonathan had dreams of going to PA school. We still had, a couple more years in Germany. And so we wanted to travel and continue to travel cheaply. Like we were kind of like the hostel pitch, hop in, stop anywhere we could for a couple bucks. But you can't really do that with a baby. I'm a type A person. I have everything very planned, and that was not in my plans. There was not this overwhelming sense of joy at all, which I know some people have. But I mean, speaking candidly, I'm not going to be like, oh, it was so. Like, I wasn't. I was devastated.
Caroline Capicelli.
Yeah, I was pretty damn upset. How they find out is essentially they're going to ask you to come in and they do a 3-hour blood glucose test. You come in, they test it once, then they have to test it every hour for 3 hours after drinking this super sugary drink that tastes awful. And so yeah, my sugars were really high and you kind of feel like a failure. I was really, really upset and I felt like I had let my baby down and my husband down. And I worried that this was going to affect everything. Everybody knows it takes 2 to conceive a baby, but it takes a minimum of 3. Mom, dad, and at least 1 healthcare professional to make that transition from fertilized egg to delivered infant a safe and successful one. Assuming you and your partner have already taken care of conception, the next challenge you both face is selecting that 3rd member of your pregnancy team, and make sure it's a selection you can live with and labor with. But basically, midwives look at like pregnancy and birth as a more like physiological process. That this is sort of generally what our bodies are built to do, and that most of the time it's going to go right. That, that we've been around, civilization's been around for a long time. Like it kind of typically goes as planned, and often not intervening is the best plan. Watch, keep your hands off. You intervene when necessary, but it's not something that needs to be constantly managed or interfered with. It's a little more like holistic, like it's supposed to be more, depends on where you work, but more like team based, where it's like shared, they call it like shared decision making. So it's not sort of like that patriarchal, like you tell someone what they need to do, like how you state things, are you truly asking, or are you saying something in the guise of asking, so it's like, we're gonna check you now, right? Like that's not, you pause for them to give consent, but it's always like the understanding like they're gonna consent, or like they're gonna assent to whatever.
Caroline Capicelli.
Well, my doctor was really upfront, and he was upfront from like the first visit I had with him. He's extremely smart, but he is extremely dry, and he rubs a lot of women the wrong way. But I like him because he straight up, the first time I met him, admitted to that and said, look, a lot of people don't like me, but my job is to take care of your baby and make sure that she lives and comes out completely healthy. And I'm going to do that for you, but you have to listen to me and you have to do what I say. If I say you need a C-section for your baby to live and you don't want to do that, you need to listen to me, because I'm not blowing smoke. Like, so I trusted him, and that's the reason I chose him. Anyways, so I was trying to think about, how much do I do that in my own language, trying to like, tease out my language a little bit better, be more thoughtful about what I'm saying. And, because I mean, of course, if someone ever said no, I wouldn't do it. Right? But if you're not really couching it in a way that somebody understands that this is a possibility, that that's the right, then but I have, or where it's not really explained. So I have one of my cousins had a C-section, and when it was her first baby, and everything was normal. She's like very healthy, and she was getting close to her due date. And I said to her, like, there's no reason to be induced yet. Like, if the doctor suggests it, you don't need to be induced. And then the next thing I told her mother-in-law that. And then the next thing I knew, she was like induced and sectioned. And it was like, well, the doctor said, she was just on tonight. So why don't we just do it? Thank you. Thank you, Thomas.
My pleasure.
Thank you,
Kristen.
Kristen.
Kristen Thomas, thank you.
Thomas, that was awesome.
Thanks so much.
That was again. That was voicing birth.
And next, we have Errol sharing Interstate Stories, abbreviated jump cut version of his show. So Errol,
welcome to the
Interstate
stage.
Stories, come on down. Yes, thank you all for using the chat. Keep it blowing up. Errol.
There we go. Can you hear me? Good. All right. So this is a 40-minute solo show that I've been working on. And so I'll read 3 sections of it and sort of talk you through the interims between the 3 of them so you get an idea of the complete feel of the show. It's 3 a.m. on December 5th, 2011, and I'm driving through the night. An hour ago, I got the call that my mother had passed away in Cleveland, Mississippi, 650 miles away. I'm not sure what I packed. My wife did most of it. I just drank 2 cups of coffee and hit the road. A third cup of coffee is sitting untouched in my cup holder. 10 hours drive and lots of time to think. I pass a sign for a scenic overlook, and my mother is suddenly beside me in the passenger seat, smiling at me and saying, "Are you ready for an adventure?" My earliest memories of being in a car were with my mother, Nettie June Holt McLendon. And my mother loved a road trip. I am very glad she's sharing this one with me tonight. When we went to Dallas twice a year, it was just me and my mama, a 400-mile road trip that often took us 12 hours. You see, I was that kid, the one who kept asking every 20 minutes, are we going to get there yet? My mother once offered me $1 to stop asking for 30 minutes. I almost made it. To stop this incessant questioning, my mother would keep an eye out for the next roadside attraction along the way and tell me we were going to stop and see it. Then I would look at the mileage on the car and start counting down the miles to our next stop. It might be a petrified forest or a cattle farm or a state museum or Lee's trading post with the promise of live baby alligators. The trip out of Cleveland, Mississippi would always start the same, with a stop at the gas station for the latest maps and then the Delta Cream Donuts. We would get to the donut shop just as the sun was coming up. The donuts would be fresh out of the oven. We would get 2 almost burn your mouth glazed and a frosty cold chocolate milk. My mother would mark our route with a red pencil, and then my mother would look at me, smile, and say, "Are you ready for an adventure?" And off we would go. I continue through the night, and at various stops along the way, I'm reminded of stories of my mother. Here's one. "My lands, look at that big old cross. The large cross looms on the horizon. I am just past Effingham. The day's about to break, and so am I. I have to close my eyes for a while. How you doing?" The road is starting to swim. When the road starts to swim, it's time to get out of the pool. I pull into the parking lot of the Effingham Cross Visitor Center. I'm not a particularly religious person, but I can't deny feeling safe sleeping under a 200-foot cross. I park, lean my seat back, set the alarm on my phone, and doze off for 30 minutes. Maybe it's going to sleep underneath a giant cross. Maybe it's my mother's remind me to pull over. I dream I am driving around the parking lot of the First Presbyterian Church and the curving streets around it. My mother is teaching me to drive. Let's try that parallel park again. It was good, but could have been a better good. This is one of my mother's Juneisms, as I like to call them. Things like during the parking, like, your blinker's not a cap holder. It's your way of showing the other driver you're a gentleman. If you can't read the license plate on the car in front of you, you're too close. Only animals being chased by other animals need to take off in a hurry. If you see a car following too closely, pull over and let him by. He needs to be somewhere in a bigger hurry than you. And my favorite, drive like you don't want to die. You won't find these rules in any driver's ed manual, but because of my mother's instructions and advice, I passed my driver's license test the first go round and never had to take driver's ed. I'm refreshed, and my mother and I get back on the road. We continue the drive, and through the night, through the rest of the day, various road stops. I go through my times with my mother that ended up with 2 years of Alzheimer's. It meant two years of going back and forth every month to visit her. And at the end of the show, this is how I reflect on the stories I've told and my life with my mother. Change happens. Dallas Theater Center no longer has a school program. I worked at a dozen travel agencies during my life. None of them still exist. The dinner theater in Atlanta I worked at closed and became a female mud wrestling venue. I was offered a job as the tech director guy for it, but I imagine my mother asking me, Puddin', is that really what you want? But memories don't change. And as cursed as Alzheimer's is, it has a silver lining. Memories from the past stay intact. I hate that my mother had to go through 2 years of Alzheimer's, but I'm grateful that it left her with decades of happy memories that I hope comforted her in the end. The last hour of driving is excruciating. Plus, I'm rushing to get to Cleveland before 5 p.m. There's something I have to do. As I pass the Welcome to Cleveland sign, my mother suddenly speaks up from the passenger seat. Pumpkin, I loved Cleveland, but it wasn't right for you. She was the one who let me know there was life outside a small Mississippi town. The fact that I wasn't there at the end was tough, but not devastating. She knew that she had given me a roadmap for my life, marked lovingly with a red pencil, and I wasn't afraid to follow it. She was always so proud that I had not surrendered myself to staying in Cleveland, a town full of people with small minds and small ambitions. I pull into the parking lot as the announcer on the all country music radio station announces, it's 4:45 p.m. I made it. I look up at the giant donut shaped sign of the Delta Cream Donuts. I go in and I order 4 glazed donuts, 2 chocolate milks, and I sit facing the wall so the donut guy won't see my tears. I stare across the table into my mother's eyes. She smiles back over at me, over her chocolate milk and her 2 donuts, and asks, are you ready for an adventure? I nod, take the last sip of my chocolate milk, head back to the car, and begin my journey without her.
Thank you, Errol. Thanks for that. That was beautiful.
It was really beautiful, Errol. Thank you.
Oh, some beautiful comments here in the chat. Yeah, I can't wait to read this whole piece too.
Right on. So yeah, that was Interstate Stories again from Errol. Next sharing is Ian. Ian's going to be sharing switching on the light box. So Ian, do you want to join us up on the rug here? Hey, Ian.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey.
Good. Welcome.
Hi.
Hi.
So I'm going to be switching on a light box today. Hi, everyone. Okay, so I guess I'll just jump into it. So my project was a light box that I built, and I'm really excited to share it with you. It's not completely done. I have a little bit of work left to do, but as a reminder, it's made of wood, acrylic, LED lights, and gels. So like this sort of a thing that you'd see at a, in front of a light in a theater. And I knew nothing about this project, so it's all new to me. And I'm just going to do my best to try to get this to convey with this medium. So here we go. So this here is the box itself. You can see it's made of wood and it's about 4 feet long. And I think I'm going to go turn the lights off so that it's a little more dramatic. Maybe that could be fun. Yay! All right. Hope no one has vertigo or anything that this is going to make them feel seasick. All right. So here we go. This is the box and turning it on. There it is. So I'll give you a couple different angles with it. Interior lit with LED lights, various types of gels throughout. And again, it's about 4 feet long. So I'll do a side view. And that's sort of what it looks like. And it'll eventually be wall mounted. And just hopefully be a little bit of beautiful art to make a space kind of look good. So that has been my project. That's been my journey of creating something. Took a woodworking class just to figure out how to do the box. And yeah, that's what I got. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Ian. That's
Yeah,
so cool.
awesome. Super
So
cool. Congratulations. That's badass.
So cool. Switching on the light box. Thanks, Ian. All right, so next we've got Kathleen sharing The Garden of Edith. This is a snippet from Kathleen's solo show about farming and agriculture. Kathleen will be sharing the introduction to the show. So Kathleen, you can come on up.
Hey, Kathleen.
Hey.
Hello.
There it is.
There
Nice.
we are. Okay, this is, the first little bit of the first draft of this show. Woo! Just another diamond day, just a blade of grass, just another paradise with voices past. Just another thing to love, just a grain of wheat, just a sack of seed to sow, and the children eat. Just another life to live, just a word to say. Just another love to give and a diamond day. La 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 la
Why farming?
Well, I don't know. My relationship to food has been interesting. Most of my life, I just ate because that's what you're supposed to do as a human in order to not die. But I never stopped to think about how the food got there. And I realize that is a very privileged thing for me to say, but it's true.
But why farming?
Putting together my typical lunch in high school. Take out a brown paper bag and write Kathleen's lunch on the front. Open it up and face it so the audience sees what is written. Get out 2 pieces of wheat bread, peanut butter, and jelly. Put peanut butter on first, then jelly, then put into Ziploc baggie. Take out packaged applesauce, peanut butter crackers, and a cosmic brownie. Put all contexts carefully into brown paper bag. This was my lunch 5 days a week throughout high school. I was certainly not getting all the nutrients I needed, and can we please talk about how wasteful this whole situation is? Throws entire bag into garbage.
Cool. But why farming?
Well, enough about me. Let's see what Brandon, a 22-year-old intern at the Talking Farm, has to say about it. Oh, why farming? Well, one, I just love agriculture, I think. Even when I was little, I cared about the environment, and this was just kind of in a similar vein. And it's part of my major, environmental sustainability. More of how man connects to the world and how best to move forward sustainably. It's complicated because, I'm just one single person with relatively little power. It's so hard to keep hope for a sustainable future, but I guess one person trying to do better is better than one person doing worse. Emma, a 30-year-old intern at the Talking Farm, had a bit of a different approach. So for 7 years, I've worked in the food service realm, between working at a deli and cafes, doing barista type stuff. And my first cafe job, the owner liked to make as much as she could from scratch. And though it was, she definitely didn't buy local produce or anything like that. She was very aware and gave awareness to me, I suppose, of like food systems that she was working in. And I think that sort of started that awareness for me, because then she went and spent like a year on a farm in upstate New York when I was working there. So she definitely inspired an effort, an attention towards where food was coming from, and sort of, I don't want to say hierarchy, but like there are so many different ways to just be conscious of what you're eating. I've just always looked out for that level of care to be placed into food in a service and hospitality context. So I wanted to go a little further back into the food line to then see how it's grown. I mean, customers are coming for a thing they are excited about and excited to nourish them. And so I'm then on the other side of the counter excited to provide that for them. That's an interaction I've really enjoyed throughout my working life, and looking for a way to do that in a slightly deeper and different context is what brought me to this farming moment.
So what gives you the authority to tell this story?
Well, like I said before, I had no interest or care in the world about where my food came from. My first interest in plants came when my grandpa passed away. Now, you might be trying to find some deep connection with a loved one dying and nourishing plants to cope with grief. This isn't that. I now have about 30 plants, and it all started with a resentment towards my dad for not believing that I'd be able to care for this basket full of plants he received from my grandpa's funeral. I did fail in some ways. 4 out of the 5 plants are dead, but the last one looks like this, if anyone can see it. So, you know, I gained an interest which blossomed into a love for plants in order to, I don't know, reclaim this power I never had in the first place, but felt had been taken from me. The end. Yay. Yay.
Kathleen.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you, Kathleen. That was awesome. Okay, everybody, that was Kathleen's The Garden of Edith. We are going to take a 5-minute intermission. So we'll be back here at 31 after. So yeah, go get yourself some refreshers. Take a little break.
Yeah. Get a coffee at the coffee bar. Or get a little piece of pie.
Or some sushi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. See everybody in 5 minutes.
Hey, everybody, we're back.
Welcome back to
Welcome back
part
to
2.
Oh, it's okay,
Hey, it's Joby the dog.
Joby. Joby. Okay. All right. I know.
So
Okay.
let's see. So we have, I think, 4 more wonderful sharings in the second half. And then just a reminder too, there's a bunch of awesome stuff in the front yard. There's a bunch of people shared their pieces in the gallery in the front yard. So if you haven't checked that out, please do. It's very cool. Okay, so second half. Here we go. First person up, Vichet, is going to be sharing an excerpt from his book. Vichet, do you want to join us on stage? Hey.
Hey. Hi. You are muted, Vichet.
I'm not muted. Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
Oh, now we can-
Hello.
Okay. Hey. Okay. So this is an excerpt from a book that I am working on. It's a YA book, and the protagonist is a 16-year-old queer Cambodian girl. Yeah, I'll just share this little bit. She's also a spoken word poet, so just throwing that out there. Okay. Chapter 1. I've been thinking about calling myself Khmer Kerouac. Track that jack all the way back. Yo, let me unpack and get in this hack without any slack. Before you attack this lunchable snack, be taken aback by this rhythmic smack. Down into Milltown, your girl's been around. She's not backing down when she draws the renowned industrial crown, making the sound of immigrant ground. Don't sleep on this round. Don't get lost, get found, because it belongs to the brown. Look, I'm trying to have a conversation about my nation. She's got this reputation of declaration and misinformation and consternation about legislation of immigration in process of cessation, breaking down the foundation, encouraging ruination, deteriorating liberation at the regulation of our civilization, and leaving behind migration for absolute separation. You see, my bow was deported. He was basically transported, like a thing that's exported and completely distorted to something that's sorted. Even if he comported for years, he was rewarded, behaving like the imported, but those dreams were thwarted in being suddenly reported. So who in this is being supported? Because now he's there, and what I thought was fair seems more like a prayer or an act of despair, and I should just throw the load on and bear this fucking nightmare, as if it was rare for a person who was Khmer to fight for some air in unending warfare when you really could swear that you just had been there. So can somebody share the location of nowhere? But yo, this is getting too low, and I ain't got the dough to offer that flow that's all about woe. The flow that I know is all about the glow up in the show of lo and behold, that Kerouac bio pick on the woe. Because I gotta go beyond what I know, deep dive like Cousteau in the depths of below. Khmer Kerouac on the scene, caught in between the gene and the teen, and trying to intervene and sheen and clean, or give some saline, or find the vaccine to understand 16. So, get lean, get keen, get in that routine. Yo, it's already foreseen because it's your Khmer queen. Chapter 2. Soma, put the phone away, face down on the bed, and step away. The deed is done. There's no turning back. Now all you can do is sit and wait. Sit and wait. Sit and turn it back around. What's good? Nothing yet. 1 like. Shut up, you idiot. 1 like ain't shit. 2 likes. Oh, whatever. It's just so pot. He likes everything. 10 likes. What the? The phone suddenly sank like a weight in my hand. Did I just make a catastrophic decision? And worse off, have I become like the other social media harpies, starving for likes like any of it actually meant something? But it does mean something. Since I could talk, I've been rhyming, and with everything getting so twisted with Baz leaving 6 months ago, the words were coming at a pace that I couldn't have prepared for. They felt urgent, more necessary. I needed to put them somewhere. But on the socials, don't get thirsty. Under the pillow, out of sight, out of mind. Maybe this was a good time to start tapping into some of Matt and Baz's Buddhist practices, like relinquishing. I could relinquish. It's not that hard. All you have to do is relinquish. Relinquish. With my face buried deep into my pillow, an animal scream whispered, escaped my lips and disappeared into the graveyard of dead cells and now dead dreams. I really needed to change these covers. They were smelling funky. Yeah, no, that wasn't going to work either. That wasn't going to work at all. I needed to throw the phone across the room where it will be impossibly out of reach. That way, I won't be tempted to check my stats as some pathetic reflex. Thud. Shit. Soma? Hey, Soma! An unwanted voice suddenly barged into my room as if closed doors meant absolutely nothing. Who's got time for this? I got a jack phone I have to reckon with. What? I yelled back, unable to conceal my annoyance. Not an adequate response, thank you very much. Since moving back home at the beginning of summer, Davi's voice began to take on an authoritative, some might say fascist tone that was really beginning to grate at my chill. Davi was living and working in Boston after graduate school, but when Baz's order came up, she insisted on coming back to help. I obviously protested, unsure of why we needed another Kier girl in the house, but Matt said it was a good idea. Trouble was, Davi fancied herself more of a third tyrannical parent than a sister. Every day that she was here, the 10-year gap between us felt like it was getting wider and wider. I already had parents, thank you very much. I'm doing homework. Okay, well, I need your help. Can you give me like 15 minutes? But it better be 15 minutes instead of you rolling downstairs in an hour like you usually do. The unfounded accusation obliterated any chill I had left in my body. I remained chill-less. I was hot. See you in 15 minutes. Okay, bye. I yelled back, hoping that Davi would read my not so subtle tone. Success. Silence. I leapt toward the wastebasket and without thinking, instantly buried my arm in layers of some seriously questionable items. Old papers, a bubble tea cup from Sweet Journey, remaining bubbles building their own ecosystems, a pair of holy socks, and my phone intact. Thank God. 72 likes. My eyes squinted to see if they were playing tricks on me. How did the video jump in likes within a matter of minutes? Before I could even interrogate the development, a model selfie of my puckered best friend took over the home screen. It was obviously Sopat. I needed to answer. Who even are you? Sopat's voice peeked over the phone. What are you even talking about? I matched his punctuated inquisition. Bish, use a bish. Your video. I low-key just posted it. How did you watch it so fast? What do I even do with my life? I legit look at videos all day long. Okay, and well, use a bish. Come on, Carol Whack, you queen, you. Oh, you got that K kind of royalty. KWEEN. Come on, Queen Carol Whack. Please don't ever use that acronym with me. KK. Oh, yeah, I won't. The bish, you have 86 likes now. Check out the stats. He was wrong. The video had 92 likes. What was happening? This was getting way more likes than that Renegade challenge I posted last year. In his norm fashion, Sopat bullied me to do it, and while he tossed his hair back and reigned supreme, I barely did the choreo with a smug smile on my face. To us, that vibe was actually hilarious, but to everyone else, maybe not so much. At most, it accumulated a sorry 14 likes. This new video was inching to unknown territory. Let's go, Sopat shouted as if he was already out the door and on his way to wherever he was going. Is that Sopat? Davi's voice returned with perfect timing. Soma, come on, you said you'd help me. Meet me, queen. Sopat would not be satisfied until I relented. Are you listening to me? Davi would not be satisfied until I relented. I couldn't please them both. I needed to deal with one to get to the other. This video business was seriously distracting me. At the clock, in like 20 minutes, I instructed Sopat before he could turn up my house unexpectedly and ignite a shitstorm. Oh, you are that beat legacy, loitering lol streets like your ancestors. Goodbye. Are you coming? Davi howled one last time. I immediately lodged the phone into my back pocket, silencing Sopat for just the moment. Only for the moment. He'd be in my ear and mug and personal orbit in just a second. In the meantime, I needed to put on a hoodie and meet my executioner. I grabbed the nearest one on the floor, stepped in some kicks, and took one last look in my dressing room mirror. Okay, that's it. The end. Thank you all for listening. Okay, bye.
Oh, Vijay, that was awesome.
Yeah, thank you, Vichet.
Thanks. So cool. That was an excerpt from Vichet's book. All righty. Next, we have Laura. Can I just get like a little hand wiggle? Do other people hear that like doo doo doo? Are
Yeah,
other
what
folks?
is that?
What is that? Anybody? Anybody know? Is it when there's chatting happening? Got it. Okay, cool.
Oh, it's the
Yeah.
chat.
The chat, which
Okay.
is on fire.
Thank you,
Cool.
everybody.
Thanks,
I've
all.
been wondering about that the whole night.
Me
Okay.
too. Sweet. Okay. Laura. Awesome. We've got Laura next. Laura's going to be reading an excerpt from her melodious lay. This contains sexual content. And Laura, take it away.
It's all you.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, so I'm reading an excerpt from a novel I'm working on. This actually comes towards the end, so let me just give you a framing really quick. Basically, what you need to know, my protagonist, Amy, has an illness that causes her to sleep upwards of 18 hours a day at this point, and this is her first experience in the world of virtual sex work. So she has just been taken to a private session online with a user named RJ1142, whose camera is not on and she can't see him. He also has not spoken yet. The only other thing I think you need to know is that the webcam platform is called Lola, which is made up. Okay, now I'm going to read. Okay. So, what does RJ stand for? Amy asked. More silence. She listened for breathing, which reminded her of pressing her ears to closet doors and peering under twin beds during hide and seek. Something twitched, which made her look around wildly until she placed it. A yellow box in the upper right-hand corner of her screen. It showed $2.50 and must have clicked over from zero. It also helpfully explained that $2.50 a minute was her rate. She didn't remember setting it there, and it struck her as both absurdly high and absurdly low. Sorry, I'm back, a male voice said casually, as if sliding past Amy in the produce aisle. I needed some water, but wanted to claim you before someone else did. Tell me about your username, Amy said, sidestepping his breezy use of the word claim. It's just my name. Right, but did your parents actually name you RJ? No, it's my initials, first and middle name. She heard a slurp, then 3 percussive gulps. Amy wondered if he had an excellent microphone or was just a loud drinker. Do you really want to know what my first and middle name is? Before you say anything, don't pretend. Her face must have looked searching because RJ1142 responded, I tell all the girls on here, only ask what you're genuinely interested in. And if that's nothing, then please don't ask anything. He sounded like he was trying very hard to strike a conciliatory tone, which Amy took to mean, we can still do other stuff, or I'll still keep you long enough that you at least make some money. Amy considered if she was genuinely interested in what RJ stood for. The answer felt fuzzy and out of reach, like the algebraic meaning behind 1142. Maybe it would be clearer if she saw his face, so she asked, why don't you have your camera on? Not like you're paying to see me, he replied. Amy mustered a shallow laugh and hoped he wouldn't ask why this was funny. In the yellow box, $2.50 clicked over to $5. She didn't like being reminded that RJ1142 was paying in real time for what felt like a negotiation, so she locked her eyes on the opposite corner of the screen and searched for how to engineer something erotic out of this. Flirting was so much easier with bodies. Sorry, I didn't mean that I'm never going to turn on my camera, he continued. There are some Lola girls I two-way with, but not right away. Don't apologize. Tell me what you want. Amy seized the opening, the force of her words straightening her spine. Only then did she realize she'd been slouching, way too comfortable looking to embody the word model, which, according to practically everything on the Lola interface, she was. RJ1142 didn't speak, but a line of text appeared in the chat bar below the split screen. Play with yourself. Amy waited for more. Switching to text seemed deliberate. Maybe he couldn't get off listening to his own voice, but now she didn't want to speak either. She leaned back slowly, hoping it looked natural and not like she was eyeing the chat box as long as possible for further instructions. Once on her back, she'd be locked in. Legs open, fingers spreading herself, probably moaning. Standard B-roll footage of a cam girl. Not that she knew where she got this footage from, or if anyone considered it standard but her. Amy caught one more line of chat before she was completely flat on the bed. Play with yourself like I'm not here. That would have to be enough to work with. She pulled the acrylic lace blend of her teddy aside and parted herself with her middle finger. Closing her eyes was automatic. Amy's eyelids snapped shut for almost every sex act since the Kevin Wrangle blowjob summer after senior year. She'd wanted everything that came with Kevin in her mouth. His moaning, his hand pressing on the back of her head, even his shudder of cum almost as soon as she'd started. But in spite of wanting it, her eyes sealed themselves shut as soon as she centered herself over him. In college, she's trained herself to hold the gaze of a penis so it wouldn't look like they scared or disgusted her. But once she got to where she didn't have to close her eyes every time underwear slid off, she went back to it. It hadn't been an issue, except with one guy, who was also annoyingly insistent she always have an orgasm. But now, in a guest room she'd barely made her own with curtains and a webcam that was, hopefully, focused on her crotch, closing her eyes felt wonderfully adaptive. It also didn't feel like she was cheating RJ1142 out of anything. By leaving his camera off, he was practically inviting her to go elsewhere. The room's overhead light stained the darkness behind her eyelids. Her eyes kept looking for darker corners as her finger found exactly what it needed. The heat coming off of her felt like it was parting her throat after a cold. Then, insistent orgasm guy crashed back into her thoughts. Specifically, the time she had come for him. Accidentally, when he picked her up from a party he didn't want to go to. Slightly drunk, Amy had opened the driver's side door of his Ford Escape and mounted him in a single movement she'd be too sheepish to attempt sober. He let her rub against him as he struggled to shut the door, barely 2 buildings down from the party she left. You look so fucking good, he'd moaned in her ear, which was electric to hear, even now, years later, piped in through memory to Arizona. Close to coming, she clenched her thighs and thrust herself up like an offering. But she didn't, and still didn't, and then her thighs started to burn, so she gave up, but not until releasing a theatrical moan right before she collapsed. That's all. I had more, but I don't have enough time. Thanks. Bye.
Oh man, thanks, Laura. That's awesome. I want to hear more.
Awesome. Sorry, I lost my video. Okay. Next up. Man, I keep getting so scared by the chat. Okay, but now I'm back. Fern is here. Hey, Fern, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, doing well. Can y'all see and hear me okay?
For sure.
Okay.
Definitely.
Let me make sure that I can see y'all okay.
And
okay.
Then let me intro you, Fern. So Fern's going to be reading essays from her collection, Return to Sender. And this is Fern.
Hey, everybody. So I'm going to be reading essays that are really what I'm most excited about that I've worked on over the course of the Midwives term. I've been working on this set of essays for the past 3 years, and these all focus on some of the growth and closure that I myself have gotten because I'm writing about me, but also in parallel, the character of me. So here we go. March 1st, 2021. I still can't watch John Oliver without hearing your laugh erupting in unison with mine. Sometimes I still look over to share the laugh. It doesn't even make me sad anymore. March 20th, 2021, the first day of spring. You weren't supposed to be here. I see that now. Feel the sinewy pull from my chest. There was something in you that knew to leave so I could do this part. You knew you were holding me back. We both knew, really. There were so many days you were all I could see or feel or attune to. All the things I saw for my future were still there. The expansive conversations late into the night, my mug of wine, the sound of my own laughter, the lines in my forehead. But you were never there when I imagined it. You were only with me in the now. This part I was meant to do alone. Yes, this part I was meant to do alone. We both know why. August 9th, 2021. In this very moment, I know you are not thinking of me. You have moved on to different anniversaries. That spiritual tether that used to connect the two of us is long severed, though it lingered longer than I would have predicted. Your August 9th has been restored to its rightful insignificance. The ritual is just mine now, along with the rest of it. I like it that way. August 9th is when I look back in awe of myself at what I lived through. How stricken I picked myself up again and again out of debilitating dissociation, nostalgia, and disillusionment to send emails, walk to endless destinations other than my couch, and even laugh. September 6th, 2021, Beholder, or This Is How It Ends. We'd get something new for the apartment, and once it was in its place, I would just sit and look at it. Are you beholding? You'd ask playfully. Yes. I always got satisfaction out of seeing something in its place, the way I'd imagined it. Those 4 glass jars I got one Christmas for the kitchen. Every time I went to the refrigerator for something, the sight of them would captivate me again, and you'd catch me looking back at them, motionless. Hey, what's taking so long in there? Oh, I know. Are you beholding again? You teased. I was. I was confused by something you said to me right around that time. It stayed stuck in my craw for years. We were in the middle of an argument, and to redirect attention from yourself, you spat, "You never finish anything." It landed like a wad of gum on the floor. What? I remember saying. That sounds like something that's more true about you than it is me. I had my own habit of spitting. I think I know more now about what you meant. I was thinking about follow through. You were thinking about ending a thing. Our thing specifically. Even as resignation turned into active sabotage, I wouldn't end it. I smothered our relationship in second chances. I am learning to end things. I still like seeing something in its place, the way I imagined it, but I'm getting better at beholding things even as they become something I can't hold on to anymore. Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, Fern.
Earn.
Awesome. Thank
Now the chat is a beautiful sound to me. I'm not afraid of it.
That was from Fern's essay collection, Return to Sender.
And we're almost to the end of our evening.
We are.
And this has been so awesome, everybody. So we'll say it again, but just want to say thank you so much to everybody who shared. This has been so damn cool. So thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. All right, our last sharer of the evening is Magdalene. Magdalene's going to be sharing a meditation on wolves and joy.
Hell yeah.
Magdalene, come on up.
Magdalene.
Hey.
Right.
All right.
Here I am. Okay. So entering into the midwives, as I'm sure everyone felt, there were ideas of what would transpire. For me, it was a vision of a theater piece, and that did not transpire. And life took many interesting turns. And one thing that happened that I didn't expect to do was start a church. So um, that did happen. My friend and I started Queer Church, which we've been holding in the woods for the past couple of months, and it's a little bit of a coming out. I'm like my heart is pounding because that's a strange thing to do. It feels. But I wanted to share with you some thoughts that I shared with the group at our last meeting. Because it feels appropriate to say this to a group of artists as it felt to say it to a group of people who identify as queer. Because in a sense, it's a back and forth. Especially as Emily, you set me up perfectly. To be an artist in this day and age, in this culture, you really have to choose that. And so I wanted to offer an invitation in that choice. And it seems to me like we have for so many years, and I'll say we, and just thinking of like Westerners, and Americans in particular, because that's my frame of reference. But we've been invited to this way of being like bees, and using all of our resources to play our part in the culture and to surround the queen, the one who is held above all others, and to do what is necessary so that she can do what is necessary and create further bees. And the thing that we don't talk about when we talk about bees is what happens in the lean times. So in the lean times, the bees crowd around the queen and use their vibrations. And I'm not a bee scientist, so I could be getting some details wrong here. But they crowd around the queen, and those who are on the outside are the first to succumb to the cold if it's in a cold climate, and they will fall away and give their life to protect the queen. And I see that model in our culture. And I want to invite us to think differently of how we could be, and to invoke an image of the way that a wolf pack functions. Thinking of the alpha wolf and those surrounding the alphas. So I'm going to do a little reading, as I did, this is a reading from the book Caste by Isabel Wilkerson. And this is a book about race, but this is the part that stuck with me most. And she's writing about wolves. True alphas command authority through their calm oversight of those who depend on them. They establish their rank early in life and communicate through ancient signals their strength and stewardship, asserting their power only when necessary. An alpha generally eats first, decides when and who will eat afterward, inspires trust through firm shepherding for the safety and well-being of the pack. An alpha is not necessarily the biggest or fastest, but usually the innately self-assured one who can chastise a pack member with a mere look or low voice. A true alpha wields quiet power judiciously apportioned. You know that you are not seeing a true alpha, or put another way, you have encountered an insecure alpha, if he or she must yell, scream, bully, or attack those beneath them into submission. The individual does not have the loyalty and trust of the pack and endangers the entire group through his or her insecurities, through his or her show of fear and lack of courage. We owe our misperceptions about alpha behavior to studies of wolves placed into captivity and forced to fight for dominance or to cower into submission. In nature, wolf packs are more likely to consist of extended family systems, packs of between 5 and 15 wolves led by an alpha male and an alpha female, whom the pack trusts and has reason to trust for the survival of them all. Quote, the main characteristic of an alpha male wolf is a quiet confidence, quiet self-assurance, end quote. Richard McIntyre, a researcher of wolf behavior at Yellowstone National Park, told the ecologist Carl Safina, quote, you know what's best for your pack. You lead by example. You're very comfortable with that. You have a calming effect, end quote. The other members of the pack, the various beta and gamma wolves, can thus go about their various tasks with greater reassurance in the wisdom of the alpha. At the bottom of the hierarchy is the omega, the underdog, the lowest ranking wolf, arising from natural personality traits in relation to others in the pack. The omega generally eats last and serves as a kind of court jester who acts as an escape valve, often picked on by the other wolves. He bears the brunt of the tensions they face in the wild, where they are subject to attack from predators or from rival packs and during lean times in the hunt for prey. The omega acts as a kind of, quote, social glue, allowing frustrations to be vented without actual acts of war, end quote, wrote a wolf conservationist. The omega is so critical to the pack structure that when a pack loses its omega, it enters into, quote, a long period of mourning, where the entire pack stops hunting and just lays around looking miserable, end quote, as if there were no longer a reason to go on. The loss of an omega can threaten social cohesion and put the entire pack at risk. Depending on the composition of the pack, an omega might not be easily replaced. The new omega would mean a demotion for one of the lower to mid-level pack members. Either way, the pack is destabilized. After all, these roles are not artificially assigned based on what an individual wolf looks like, as with a certain other species, but emerges as a consequence of internal personality traits that surface naturally in the forming of a pack. So I want to suggest to us as a gathering of artists that in this moment of great social change where there is time and opportunity for us to turn over a cycle, that we move forward with this in our minds, this alpha and omega, and the beta and gamma wolves in between. Everyone has a strength and everyone has a weakness, and recognizing that is our power. And I think that as we seek to take away the artificial constraints that make the omega wolves that we have now, there's an opportunity for us as artists to take on that role and to shoulder that burden, and to use what we create and what we think and what we put out into the world as as a reflection back onto society, so that we can see more actively what we're working with. I think it's not enough, though, to just recognize ourselves as potentially fulfilling that place as the omega. I think there also needs to be in us a recognition of our alpha and our omega and our beta and gamma and everything in between. The times when we need to step forward and lead with quiet assurance. The times when we need to recognize the assurance that someone else is taking the lead, whether that's, I don't know, our instinct. And the times when we just need to be the humble servant or the goofball taking the pressure off the moment, or the person who is saying the unpopular thing in the lean times. These these are the beginnings of thoughts and the end of my voice. So I'm going to wrap it up here. But I do very sincerely welcome if anyone wants to be in further conversation on this. I am curious about this and hope to be thinking more deeply about it.
Thanks, Magdalene. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, what a perfect way. What a perfect way to end. That was like amazing. And here's our wonderful Emily back on the carpet to close us out here.
Hello.
Hey, Emily.
Hey, Em.
I just want us to take one more moment with our hearts or our celebrations or whatever we move in the Zoom, in the dancing. Press down your Z to just celebrate all of the sharing that's happened tonight, both here and also in the gallery. And if you didn't have time to check out the gallery or all of it, really encourage you to check it out. This room will also be open for, what did we say, Mikey? I think for several more days. Let's just say for the rest of the week, hopefully. You can pop back in, and if you didn't get to see all of the gallery items. I just need to say a couple quick thank yous that are so important. One, to our beautiful MCs tonight, Mikey and Kelsey. You do such a beautiful job in guiding us through. So thank you for giving us that space. Behind the scenes, I need to quick recognize Makela and Clarabelle for all of their help producing tonight's event and communicating with you artists and helping me out. To our other core members this term, Thomas, Kelsey, Keely, and Fern, along with everyone else, has been just these people do so much to make everything happen. And then I want to welcome, we have 2 new core members that are going to be joining for term 5, Kim and Hillary, who some of you know. And I want to thank all of our audience for coming tonight and creating this space with us. The midwives are going to take a little bit of a rest following term 4 ending and take some time for reflection. And so we'll keep you in touch. We'll be in touch of when we start planning for term 5. We hope you stick around, meet some people, talk about the work that was shared. But if you need to head out, as it is getting late on the East Coast, all you have to do to leave a gather is to close your browser window. There's no special door. But thank you all so much, and hope to talk to you some of you and stick around.